Yes, good morning. It's a good afternoon. Yeah, remember I was telling you the other time how to do a mode measurements, and where we stopped from, it was a mode measurements of aorta, LA. Yeah, that's what we stopped on. So we stopped here. So I can take you back. We said we start with the PLAX view, and from PLAX we apply color. After applying color, you do the measurements. So this is the measurements. This is where we stopped. We stopped here at taking these measurements. So now today we are going to see how to take measurements of the LV cavity. Taking measurements of LV cavity. Yeah. Taking measurements of the LV cavity. Remember, for aorta and left atrium, we said it is leading edge to. It is leading edge to leading edge. Leading edge to leading edge. That's what we said. But now for LV, because in a PLAX, what we see here, we see RVOT, IVS, interventricular septum, then LV cavity, and then the posterior wall. These two, their thickness is large enough that it is very easy to see their boundaries. It is easier to see their boundaries. So we are not going to use leading edge to leading edge method as we did for aorta and LV and LA, whose walls are so thin that you can make an error in measurement. So here what we are going to use, inner edge to inner edge, that is inner edge to inner edge, or trailing edge to leading edge. That's what we are going to use, trailing edge to leading edge. If I am to tell you, this is a mode scan line here. You see the dotted line here? Dotted line. It has to be, you have to be as perpendicular as possible when you are taking your mode cut section, yeah? As perpendicular as possible. And then we take at the tip of the mitral valve. At the tip of the mitral valve as perpendicular as possible to IVS and the posterior wall. That's when you see in this M mode here, you see mitral valve opening and closing, opening and closing. This is the anterior mitral leaflet, posterior mitral leaflet is here. Here this is the closure line, and they are closing, it is open. Here that's when it is clear. Anterior mitral leaflet, then posterior mitral leaflet is somewhere here, and then it closes. So at the tip of mitral valve, that's when we take the cavity. Next thing is to identify the boundaries. Where are the boundaries here? Now we have to be so keen not to take into this, especially RV. RV has trabeculae, and in some people also LV has some trabeculae. So you shouldn't take, your measurement should not include those trabeculae. You have to identify them from your M mode. So if you see here in this 2D image, you see this thick line here, it continues as thin, it fades here. So this is a trabeculae. This one is a trabeculae. Otherwise, if you have to take it, you find this patient has LVH, yet there are no risk factors for LVH. This patient is not diabetic, is not hypertensive, so high chances is not CKD. High chances of having LVH is slim. Oh, they are slim. But if you measure all these things, you'll find that it's having LVH. I can try to measure it and see, to take everything. This is how big LVH will be. So it is giving 1.6. It will be giving 1.6 if I measure everything. It will be giving 1.6, but this patient is not, there are no risk factors for LVH. If I measure from here, will be 1.3. Let me see, it's who? It's 1.3. It will be massive. It is having some LVH, but it's not massive. Yeah. If you take everything, it will be massive. So we're coming back. It's 1.3, 1.3. Yeah. So proper identification of the boundaries is very, very key. Now, if you see on this image here, again, I'm trying to measure, so that will come up with, so this cursor, you can see it moving, yeah? From here up to here, this seems to be this line here. This first one here. It is the one that is passing from here up to here. It is the one that is passing. So that one is part of RV trabeculae. Now the real IVS, it will start from here. You see this line? It is consistent. It is consistent, this line here. It is consistent. It goes down. It moves up again. It moves up. It goes down. It moves up. You see, it is consistent, but this one, whenever there is a systole, this one remains up and creates some space here. It doesn't move. In systole, this one remains up. So the real IVS is the one that is moving towards LV in systole. This is systole. Remember cardiac cycle. This is systole. This is diastole. So this one is the real, from here up to here. It is the real IVSD. From here up to here, the real interventricular septum in systole. In diastole, it is from here up to here, the real interventricular septum. And if you are to measure here posteriorly, it is here up to here, the real interventricular septum. So we have identified the boundaries. You first see the consistent line that is moving, the consistent line, and we are going to measure that. Now IVSD will have leading edge and a trailing edge because it is thick. Remember the other time I drew a line. What is this? Meniscus. I told you the other time that even if you draw a line like this, it should have a leading edge and a trailing edge. Leading edge and a trailing edge. It will have. So now this is IVS. This is IVS. So it has its leading edge and its trailing edge. This is IVS. It will have its leading edge and the trailing edge. So we are going to measure like that. Since it is thick enough, we see everything. So it will be the leading edge of IVS. We measure up to its trailing edge. We measure. We shall get that measurement, and it will be around. If you see it clearly there, it is almost in the LVH, and it is 1.3. It is LVH. That one. And then we go to posterior wall. Remember here in PLAX mode at level mitral valve, we are going to measure. We can measure EPSS, e-point septal separation, and then all that. But now we are measuring cavities and thickness, size of LV. We measure size of LV from its walls, and then to the cavity size, and then to this, its walls, thickness of the walls, and then the size of the cavity. Still remember cardiac cycle, it is a diastole, systole, diastole, systole. You have to identify where is systole and you have to identify where is diastole. We are taking measurements at end diastole, at end diastole. Here mitral valves are opening. I cancel. Let's take back, then come back. Here mitral valves are opening. It has opened. This is rapid filling phase. This one is rapid filling phase. So mitral valve open, diastole starts. So it has started the filling part of diastole, not the isovolumic. It has started here. Now blood fills, diastasis is here, diastole, diastasis, and then last part. You see last part, this is end diastole. At end diastole, we have to measure at end diastole, that is the largest LV size we can get at end diastole. The largest size of LV, we are not supposed to measure from here up to here, because this is not end diastole. At end diastole is the last part when all the blood has emptied into LV, but mitral valve is still going to be soon closing. Or the last part when mitral valve starts closing. Otherwise, if you see here, it has two parts there. Partial opening and then full opening. Full opening, partial opening is somewhere here. Partial opening is somewhere there. Here. So at this point, when mitral valve is the last closes, so you see here the largest LV size you can get, it is at this point. So you take that one, the largest size of LV, you see, that's where you measure from. That's why at this point we measured here. Well, this is where the largest, and you look for the most clear one, and this is the most clear one. If you see, this cycle is the most clear one here, so you have to measure that one. You understand? But this thing M mode also, depending on where it has passed, it can be used to do RV study. This is RV. In systole, you see, in diastole, systole, diastole, systole. So same, you can still measure the RV size here, depending on how your M mode scan line passed. If it passed like this, you could take it, but if it's like this, it may underestimate. Yeah. So we are going, for now we are not measuring RV, we are going to measure only LV. We start from thickness of the septum in diastole, LV cavity in diastole, thickness of the posterior wall in diastole. All of them we take at end diastole. That is the most important point. All of them we take at end diastole. The largest LV size or cavity we are seeing, that's where we measure from. And from this point, we are going to measure from here at end diastole, the largest cavity of LV seen. We are measuring from here up to here. Now that is the thickness. Whatever you get there, you will see there, it will be written as IVSD in diastole. It will be written as IVSD. You see there up to be written as IVSD 1.2, depending on what I've measured. When I go down here, what I'm going to get next is the ventricular septum, interventricular, that is LV cavity in diastole, dimensions, LV dimensions in diastole. I click there, so it has come. IV internal dimension in diastole 4.8. You see, it has written. Then I proceed to posterior wall. I click. Now posterior wall, LV posterior wall in diastole as 1. Yeah, as 1. And now next we are going to measure in systole. Again, you have to locate this one. We already said it. We are going to measure IVS in systole. We see the shortening. It has written posterior. S is going to come. Now we are going to measure internal dimensions. See, this is where systole is. Here. There. We are going to get fractional shortening. Fractional shortening as 43%. Then we go to posterior wall. So the values we got there, we have end diastolic volume, end systolic volume. We can get ejection fraction as 74, stroke volume as 81. So all these ones, they are the things, parameters we get when you take these measurements. All these ones we get. We get all those parameters when we do a mode at the level of mitral valve. Again, what have we got? We did internal dimension, like thickness of interventricular septum in diastole, thickness of posterior wall in diastole, and then LV internal dimensions in diastole, and then we go in systole. We measure the thickness of interventricular septum in systole. We measure the LV dimensions in systole, and then the posterior wall thickness in systole. From there, we are getting ejection fraction by TI index, by M mode. We are going to get ejection fraction, stroke volume, fraction shortening, and then end diastolic volume. End diastolic volume is this one, end systolic volume is this one. You understand? End diastolic volume, end systolic volume. These are dimensions. No, they are not volumes we are measuring. We are measuring dimensions, but the machine can convert it into volumes and to give you, because it has the algorithm. It knows the shape of LV, and then if you give it this dimension, it can find the radius, what, and give you the volume. Yes, these are the things we do on M mode at the level of LV. Clear? So you see here in systole, it comes like this in systole and it stops somewhere here. So you measure from there up to here. That is in systole. So next thing we can measure is EPSS. Now, when we draw a mode, if you have to read, if you draw a mode, mitral valve opening, like here, it is open, partial closure, like this. So this is D, E, point E, F. This is rapid feeding, slow feeding. And then C. We can measure the EF slope. Let's see how we can measure. We can measure from here. We first select it in an algorithm. I don't know if it is there. Mitral valve. Generic. Where is mitral valve? Mitral leaflet. EPSS. EA ratio. Mitral leaflets. Mitral leaflets. We can measure EPSS. PSS is here up to there, to give 0.4. Otherwise we can measure a lot of stuff from here up to here. You can measure the EF slope. Yeah, that is it. That is it for M mode at the level of LV. We can change this M mode to pass through the mitral valve. See this M mode to pass through the mitral valve. Not clear. It's not clear. But this is the posterior, anteriorly flat, posteriorly flat, anteriorly flat, posteriorly flat, opening and closing. Yeah, thank you. A good time.